I've gone quite a full circle.
You went from HSBC to Deutsche Bank to Citi.
Biggest asset manager in the world. So they had just under $1 trillion. I think it's really important. In any role whatsoever, what do you do? Do you really want to do just what you're employed to do, possibly? Or is there an opportunity to do more? The head of the desk at the time, we had a conversation and she said, I outgrew the position. So if you can imagine working for someone, working under someone who felt you could get a job elsewhere, oh, I'm going to help you get a job elsewhere. That has never left me. So before I moved there, the head of the trading at AllianceBernstein said all I needed to do was, I think working for a bank is inherently difficult unless you've got a good degree.
What's the biggest paycheck you've made in a month as a trader?
I was waiting for this question.
There was months that I traded £500 million worth of stock. You know, you get your ups and downs, right? You have quiet months, you get busy months. But I do remember, there was a paycheck.
So welcome back, everyone. Today we have a very special guest joining us, Mr. Darren Seeger. If you want to take away with a little introduction about yourself and what you're currently doing.
Okay, so what I'm currently doing is working for the London Stock Exchange Group, and I look after a portfolio of clients to make sure they get the best out of an analytic and data system called Workspace. So that's my current role. But previously to this, or the role, I have always been in the financial services, and I ran through, when I was younger, I got a position as a desk support analyst at HSBC, so one of the big banks, and I was specialising in foreign exchange there, going down to the trading floor, picking up the tickets, booking the tickets out, making sure everything is complete, like doing compliance checks and looking at activity. And back then it was very analog. So, as I said, ticket-based. We had green screens and we had to fill all the tickets out onto the screen to make sure it's on our database. As time progressed, it was 1999 coming into 2000. And this is when the euro was coming in. So I felt that, do I have a viable job at that present time? Looking at all the legacy currencies now, if they're no longer there and it's just really going to the euro against the dollar and certain Asia and sterling, I endeavoured to look for a job moving over to the equity market. And I was fortunate enough to know someone who was at Deutsche Bank at the time. We had a conversation about it and they had an opening. And then I moved over to equities in, pretty much 2000. And for the next 15, 16 years, it was always equity-based. So at Deutsche Bank, it was called sort of reconciliations. So it was just before the role before trade support. Okay, so you're looking at matching trades. So you're looking at what the client's coming in for. You're looking at what the desk has booked out and making sure that is correct, because there's lots of inherent risk, like operational risk, trading risk at that present time, and especially when it was analog and it was just looking at figures with your eye and making sure that everything was correct. So that developed into really moving onto the desk. So I was given an opportunity to go down onto the floor, or actually I say go down, but it was in a different building, and it was at the time the largest trading floor in the UK. So it was a brand new building, Winchester House at Deutsche Bank.
At Deutsche Bank?
It was a fabulous place to be. And I looked after, alongside Europe, I specialised in Asia trading as well. So I looked after one of the traders there. And also, I was thinking about this, I also was the only person who was looking at arbitrage trades. And so at the time it was really secretive. So you've got the kind of different areas of a bank, and when it becomes arbitrage trading, they're looking at different areas, how they can squeeze money out of different markets at that one moment when there's mispricing in a certain equity, for example. And a lady ran the desk and I was her trade support as well. So I'd done quite a few roles there. I believe I excelled, but unfortunately what happened during the time on the floor, the terrorist attack in New York, and that reverberated into a really tricky market. And unfortunately I was made redundant from Deutsche Bank at the time. But again, what happened to me is I got a phone call pretty much as I left the building. And again, it was a person I used to work for. He was a manager who actually worked at Deutsche Bank, but he left to go to Citibank. And I had the summer off and I immediately had a role at Citigroup or Citibank.
So you went from HSBC to Deutsche Bank to Citi.
Citibank, yeah,
Wow.
pretty much.
Over how long of a period of time?
So if you're looking at HSBC 1999, or I was there a little bit before that, but the transition from HSBC 2000 was Deutsche Bank, and I was there a few years. As I said, it wasn't quite 2001, but 2002. I think I then went to Citigroup, and then, started at Citi, doing a contract role, strangely enough. There was a lot of contracting roles back then, so they were just trying to, go with the ebbs and flows, I think, of what, how much work was on. So during quieter periods, unfortunately, they released a couple of, people on contracts. But the majority of the time, it was a higher percentage of contractors rather than permanent staff in any of these companies. From Citigroup, I moved on to asset management, strangely enough. There was a role that came up at a company called AllianceBernstein, which at the time was the biggest asset manager in the world. So they had just under $1 trillion under management.
Wow.
Which at the time was extraordinary.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of companies.
What
now
year
that
are we
manage
talking?
that. This must have been 2004.
Well,
Okay.
at that
I
time,
think
1 trillion is insane because right now BlackRock have 11.5 trillion,
Yeah.
which seems like a crazy number, which it is. But back then, 1 trillion is like
Absolutely, there
practically the same thing.
was going to be huge parties when they met the trillion marker, right, under management. However, strange things happen. They didn't quite get there, and well, I'll get to that probably in a minute, right? So I left before things went wrong with the market when the credit crunch and so forth happened. But during my role there, I was quite, how do I put it? I was doing a couple of roles, right? So I had a manager and I was doing standard trade support roles, but then I was doing a lot of desk support stuff, right? So I was looking at positions. I was really liaising with a lot of clients at the time. I looked after their rolling of fixed income products, which was obviously looking at billions of euros, billions of sterling at a time, making sure that everything was all right there. So I was doing really, looking at risk as well from a trading perspective, which was over and above my role. And the reason why I mention this is that I think it's really important, right? So in any role whatsoever, what do? Do you really want to do just what you're employed to do, possibly? Or is there an opportunity to do more? And I'm not saying that there's always opportunity to do more, right? But at AllianceBernstein there was. So I really put my time in, put my effort in. And what happened there is that the head of the desk at the time, we had a conversation, and she said I outgrew the position. Okay, so I was a little bit unhappy. There was things that went on with, people being promoted above me, even though I was doing the greatest share of the work at the time. That's how I felt. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, but I felt like I was doing sort of a hybrid two roles. And she said, so the head of the desk, she said she was going to find me a job elsewhere. So if you can imagine working under someone who felt you could get a job elsewhere, I'm going to help you get a job elsewhere, that has never left me. And I think that is something of utmost importance, right? In anyone's career, right? You've got the managers who do not want to help, just looking after themselves, don't want to progress you. You're there, they employ you, they pay you for the role they employ you for. And then there's other dynamic people who can understand there's more to your career. Okay, so your career is like meant to be, upward trajectory in reality. And
Was that the case because you did more in the job, or because you were in the right company with the right person to kind of want to help you?
okay, so the right relationships with people, right? So this is a really big thing. Okay, so throughout my career, I've always been quite personable to everybody, and I think that really helps. Really, really helps. I know at work you're meant to be completely professional all the time, but if you can make that professionalism a bit more personable to everyone, I think you can relate to more people. More people want to help if they can at certain times, if you need that help. And this one moment in time, it was recognised by someone who was in a powerful position, and they helped me. And I've never forgotten it, and it means a lot. And it's always about relationships. So if what I've mentioned before, a couple of my moves, the previous 3 moves, have all been because of my relationships previously. I don't think it's 100% like that these days. I think it's a lot of competition. And back when I was doing support roles and trading roles, you could really probably move into certain roles because of a certain, I don't know, yeah, your background, academic background, yes, but you never needed a degree. Now everyone looks at a degree. What degree do you have? Where did you study? A little bit more competition, and they want the best of the best of the best now, which is very, very tricky. So I think working for a bank is inherently difficult unless you've got a good degree, a good bank, and you've got to apply yourself to that. So the grad schemes and so forth. I mean, I don't know if they would employ someone beyond the grad scheme these days, right? Unless someone left, but I think they would start moving people up and pivot people within, and then they would get someone in at the lower scale to fill that gap and then train you and move you on. But then that leads me to the trading role, right? So I left Alliance Bernstein for a trading role at a company called Eden Financial. Okay, so I was there as what they call a tapper as such. So I was a trade executor. So what that means is that clients of the company would call up, you'd do a bit of sales trading, so you'd put a trade together, or if you produced a lot of research, a lot of news and had ideas, and they traded on the back of that news, they would give you an order. So could you buy me this? Could you sell me that? And then you got paid a commission on the back of that.
On each order?
On each order. Okay. So it was scaled. So you could be employed as a dealer as such. So in a broker, you're normally called a dealer. At a bank, the equivalent role is a trader. Okay. So as a dealer, you could just sit there and execute trades. Okay, all day long. You didn't need to speak to clients as such or have your own clients. Maybe needed to report them at some times to a few people, but you could just sit there and just trade all day long. And there was months that I traded £500 million worth of stock. And when I look back on that, I'm thinking, wow, again, it seems like it is a lot of money, right?
I mean, even now, like today's standards, it's crazy.
Absolutely. I think you
50
don't.
billion, you said, right?
500 million pounds.
500 million. I mean, even that is
500 million pounds a month.
That's insane,
right? It wasn't always that, but on busy times it was. Other times were a little bit less, and you used to get paid, per execution as well. There was loads of like little mini bonuses. It's all doesn't exist anymore. Okay, and then because I left Alliance Bernstein and they were a asset manager, I was fortunate enough to take on them as a client.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Could not have worked out better, man. Yeah.
So that's the thing here. The relationship is key. Okay. For me, it was absolutely key. Was it my know-how? No. But they knew I could apply myself because of what I've done for them on the desk. So he knew that I was able to do anything at any given time. And I moved into Eden Financial. I was busy from the get-go, right at the start. I was where I believe my employment was just to become a dealer. It was pretty evident I was going to be a sales trader, so I had to pick up the phone immediately to the client. But I've bypassed something, actually. So before I moved there, the head of the trading at AllianceBernstein said all I needed to do was get my IMC, which is the Investment Management Certificate, and also the Registered Representative Examination. So what that means is that I can speak to a market professional, and I am professional myself, and I understand what investments are. So the IMC just goes through understanding investments, different asset classes, and it's like a precursor to the CFA, right? So it's not needed if you're studying the CFA, but it just gives you the I suppose the basics of investing, and then you can move on to the CFA. So I passed that, I think, in a few months, and I've done my registered representative examination.
And do you need to have that? Absolutely need to have that for the role that you went for?
You need to have not so much the IMC, but the registered representative certification. I think at the time it was CF30, right? So you had to be CF30 regulated to talk to a client. And that's obviously, once you're regulated, if you break the rules, then there could be repercussions. So you don't want anyone saying, yeah, I can trade you this, I can do this, I can do this. They need you to understand the actually workings of the market. So you can actually present yourself and present investments and trading in a serious manner.
So you can't guarantee returns. You have to be really kind of open about the risks, and you have to highlight the risks.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think what it inherently does is you then know the risks yourself, because you're also going to be trading, because I wasn't retail. So retail trading is a little bit different. So because it was institutional trading, they're market professionals as well. They've done examinations. They have to pass their own examinations to then represent their trading desk at that company. And the way it trickles down, if you can think of a broker's clients, a bank's clients, okay, they are not member firms. And this is really important here. So they all have trading desks, but those trading desks can't actively get into the market themselves. They have to go through a third party. So it'd be, a registered company that is representative of the London Stock Exchange, for example. So Deutsche Bank would be a member of the London Stock Exchange, all the banks, HSBC, Barclays, whomever you are. And they would receive the orders from hedge funds, asset managers, whoever it may be, and that would trickle down. They would execute, and then that fill would be given back to the client, because they can't trade themselves, because they're not they are market participants, but they're not entities that are registered on the exchange and given permission to be trading on the exchange.
So someone has to do it on behalf of them.
So someone has to do it. So it would be a broker or a banking environment who trades.
And I want to ask you the difference between a retail trader and an institutional trader.
Yeah. So basically, if you were to go to, if you yourselves wanted to trade, wanted to buy or sell a stock, you would still have to go through a broker, and a broker would charge you, and they would execute that trade. So you would sign a document stating that you are not the market professional, and the broker would have to understand that and then trade on behalf of you, with the understanding that you may not know the inherent risks, that sort of thing. So that is a retail execution. Okay, so it's just everyone who wants to trade any stock and shares. Or
Private people.
Private people, yeah. So every bank has that facility for you. You can open up an account at whatever bank and you could trade shares. Okay, but institutional will be the professional entities that have money to invest.
Just like B2B and then B2C in a way. So B2C being the private people. So if you're a Retail, it's more dealing with private individuals. Institutional, you're dealing with businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so there's that more professionalism. Both entities should know what they're doing, right? Being professional. So you would get an order coming in, they would give you, trade it over the day, for example. So I could get an order coming from my client, trade it over the day, trade it over the hour. You can get, trade it right here, because they still can make decisions on when they execute it. But I think for any dealer trader position, you're gauged on, as soon as that order comes over, is gauged on your trading ability within that period of time that you've got that order. As an execution, I can go on to like a proprietary trading and how how banks have changed since proprietary trading was no longer allowed as a function. But you're just gauged on your skill set, how you've executed it. So if you can imagine, there's a weighted price of a VWAP price. Okay, so it's just the weighted average price over a period of time. And if you've beaten that as what the market dictates as the average price, then you probably get more orders, that you're executing better than the market. That's what people are looking out for. If you're many basis points off, you may not be such a good, trader, and they may put their business elsewhere.
Basically doing better than the bottom line. Or like, for example, I think I saw a TV show where it was a hedge fund and they're like, oh, we do 38 points better than the S&P 500 for year on year.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's called high touch, right? So over the years, high touch has got smaller and smaller and smaller. There's the high touch is when there is human intervention. So someone is looking at the market, looking at activity, executing that order for you. Okay? Soft execution would be an algorithm these days, right? So you can pass an order to a trading desk at a bank still, for example. That order would get executed via a computer. So you pay less, but you get maybe a little bit of slippage, it's called. So that may not be executed as well, possibly, should I say, as human intervention. And I had a conversation yesterday with someone, and he explained that that's now really leveled out a bit, and there's more business coming in high touch. So where that was taken away from trading desks and brokerages, there's more interested in that at the moment. So interaction with a human who's executing it, looking at everything, looking at all the numbers, figures, and trading on behalf of you, that's becoming, those levels are increasing where they've been dropping.
Because before people were kind of like nervous about robots taking over, even like 5-10 years ago, where you don't need a human, but now you kind of want a human there to help you make that decision and actually just kind of be there.
Absolutely. If you can imagine, right, so an electronic trading desk at a bank, right, they must have hundreds of orders come in every day. And they do have, people behind the scenes. They'll be looking at all these orders, making sure they're all executing correctly as such. To what extent, depending on volume, but making sure that everything's running smoothly and your trade is going to be executed over whatever period of the day or whatever direction that the client has given you. Okay, so they were getting bigger. Those desks were getting bigger and bigger, headed up by quants, obviously looking at a lot of mathematics and so forth. So it isn't as what I suppose the classic ideology of what a trader was and a broker. So it's all about the verbal, talking. So, where can I go from here? So inherently the difference here is you've got a broker that would speak to their clients and you would execute on behalf of your clients. When it comes to a bank, it gets a little bit more in depth, right? So this is the discussion I was having yesterday. So years ago, you used to have two different formats. You used to have the sales traders. Sales traders spoke to the clients, handed over the order to the trading desk, and the trading desk would execute. Then you would have proprietary traders. So an allocation of monies would be given to a trader, 10, 20 million pound, maybe, or whatever it may have been in a day, and they would conduct their own activity to make money on that money. That then was stopped. And now what it is, there is proprietary trading, but it's called client facilitation. So if there's someone who's going to be reporting and you had an idea on where the market may be, I mean, all traders have an idea, right? You've got to understand what's going on, and you can gauge what's going to happen when someone's reporting. And what you find is the traders these days are sector specific, so they're experts in their sectors.
For example, commodities subject matter experts.
Yeah, I mean, experts in, if you're looking at commodities, there'll be someone who's looking at sugar, looking at metals, that sort of thing. Yeah. Experts, even more granular than that. So you've got those different sector traders who will be an expert in the trader from an equity perspective, and they can make a market so they can buy or sell stock, maybe hold it for 3 months if they have an idea that there's going to be activity from the clients and they're holding something on a book. They can, short sell as well, and if nothing comes of that, they have to cover themselves. So it is a form of proprietary trading in a way, but it's just really to facilitate clients' needs. Okay, and they can take risk as well. So a trading desk can take risk. So if a client comes in and says, "Can I buy and sell? I've got this to buy or sell." If you have a view that if you take that on board, take it onto your own trading book, that at a time you can make profit on that. So that's available to. It's called taking risk on your own book. So you see a lot of that in a lot of companies, and inherently, it's market making in a way, right? If you didn't want to take an order onto your book or a stock, for example, onto your book, you could make the spread really wide, and then that individual, the client, would say, "No, I don't want to trade with you," and maybe go somewhere else if they get a better spread or a better option.
Yeah, that's a lot of in-depth.
It also goes to show there's so many opportunities. Yeah, there's so many kind of subsectors of actual opportunities for getting into jobs to do those specific things. And also from what I'm hearing from your story is you've got soft skills that get people to see the value you bring. That's more than the job that you do. That helps you go from place to place, especially in that period of time, which is amazing. And I'm all for soft skills, and I'm all for doing more than you do in your work. I
agree. So, Samala, if you can imagine, you can't go and get a degree in trading. You may understand the principles of economics and what the stock markets do, but you can't really learn at any institution apart from being on the job what it is to actually look at the market, then execute in that market. It is quite a different thing, right? I mean, you don't get me wrong, you can open up a trading account as a young person and then actively trade. I mean, you can, but you'd still have to do that yourself. Sort of have that learning curve yourself, because there's no tuition as such. I mean, I'm sure everyone, you can go on the web now and look at lots of tuition, but it's not as in professional qualification. You need to do that to get to here, right? To get on trading desk, I think is pretty much inherently very difficult these days, but it is very possible. If you're on a grad scheme, you probably do lots of different functions, and then the financial institution would select you for that trading function.
So, and how, because since you started your job as a trade support analyst, and versus if someone wants to start at that same position, what is the route? Is it still the graduate scheme, or the way you got into it? Is that still a viable option?
I think there's any way you can get into a job, right? That you two will know better than me, right? The idea, I think, jobs must come up in the market that people can apply to. But you always can apply to an institution yourself. Introduce yourself. This is, I think it's easier now than it's ever been to introduce yourself. Whether you get heard I suppose, a different thing. And that's obviously your expertise here, because you give the ability to individuals to get in front of as many people as possible with, a structure that you guys have created, which is fabulous. Because from my perspective, okay, I've had people help me move into certain roles, right? So it's never really, I felt, on my own. There's always, if you have relationships, you're not alone. You can ask people questions, and then they can ask other people questions. And somewhere, maybe a role is available, and you can have that conversation. Okay, that's all. You can start there, and I think that's really valuable. So, for whoever's listening, I think it's really important that you never feel like you're on your own. How to Job can help, and it's that talking to someone who knows, I suppose, a little bit more. You should always speak to people who know more, because they can help you more than maybe what you know already. And I think there are many ways in. You can apply for a job. You on a job site. You can go into, for example, a bank's website and look at the jobs available and then apply from there. Or you could go a different route. Looking at who the hiring manager is at these institutions. Introduce yourself. Could you possibly look at my profile for a future role that may come up? You can use your network, a broader network, your parents' network, depending on what roles they do. Do they know anyone? Those sort of things. Who do you know is really important. 100%. You never know what can come of having a conversation with anybody.
It goes back so easily with the episode with Aditya we had. It's not who knows you, but not who you know, who knows you.
Exactly.
And the conversations that happen behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. And it's always, even if you don't see a role that's currently posted out, it never hurts to network and put yourself out there and being connected with the right people. And when those roles actually come up, they think of you.
Mm. I mean, that's happened recently to a friend of mine. Okay, there wasn't a role available. The role popped up and they immediately approached him. Okay, it happens all the time. And, after I left trading, I was given an opportunity to go to Switzerland, actually, to kind of head up an operational department there. It was more of putting out a few fires, right, doing a little bit of restructuring. And that came about via a friend. Would you like this opportunity? I got a phone call from the head of trading in Paris. It was Kepler Chevreux. It was a very big broker. Okay, and they are very big now in the market. And I went to Paris for lunch, and that's all it was. And so it's a strange reality. So it's not always that interview process. I must admit, obviously, I had a lot of experience to get to that stage. It doesn't happen for everyone. It depends where you are on your career path, right? So you may not have that opportunity if you're just starting. But these, that's how you mature into certain roles, into certain career paths. So I had lunch, I was offered a job, and then the job was actually in a place called Nyon in Switzerland, which was fabulous. I was there working for about a year, but I was always around, in Switzerland for a few years, and then I come back, become a business analyst actually in financial crime at Royal Bank of Scotland.
Wow.
Wow! And then from that role, I was offered a position on the vendor side of things. So the vendor side of things, if you're unfamiliar, so working at a financial institution, you'll have technology to assist you. Okay, so I currently work for the London Stock Exchange Group, and we have a fabulous piece of technology called Workspace. Okay, but competitors, Bloomberg, for example, these names you would have, I'm sure you would have heard of. And so, where's my skill set lay? I've been utilising these products for so long. Maybe I can go on facing the clients, talking about these products, how they can help you within your role, You're looking at your workflow. How can I assist? And that's where I am today, right? So I've done, I've gone quite a full circle. Started from really humble beginnings, being a trader, and then coming back round into the vendor side of things to assist financial institutions with technology, analytics and data technology.
I've seen these crazy videos of traders like telling how much crazy amount of money they've made in a month. What's the biggest paycheck you've made in a month as a trader?
I was waiting for this question.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I mean, did I know this was coming? Probably. Yes. No, look, it varied. So during my trading activity, you get your ups and downs, right? You have quiet months, you get busy months, but I do remember, there was a paycheck. It was about £42,000 for a 30-day period.
Wow.
Jesus Christ. That's like someone's annual salary.
And I still have the pay slip.
Really?
Because it's really important, right? So what can you achieve? So this is the thing that always really hits me, and it's close to my heart, right? How much can you earn? I don't want to, I don't think it's always should be about the financial gain, right? I don't. But unfortunately, if you've got a certain skill set and you've got a certain experience, it comes with a value as you progress in your career. And you've got to accept that, because you can't sell yourself short. If you have skills and you have access to skills within you and someone wants you for a certain role, they've got to pay you for that. Right? That's how it works. Whatever level you're at, you've got to understand how much your value is and don't deviate to a degree, right? Try to achieve more. I mean, there's always, you can take a step back, but if it's for the right role and you can see that curve going up, but you've always got to know the value you hold. And I kept that pay slip because I worked incredibly hard to even get to the trading floor, okay, for a company. And it resonates so many different things. Hard work, relationships, putting yourself amongst it, learning more. Always kind of strive to achieve more. There's always more out there. You shouldn't be passive and rest on your laurels. I mean, some people can do that. Don't get me wrong. You may be in a position where you're really happy. That's awesome, right? That is awesome. But if you do have that, there's something niggling at you. I want more. You've got to put yourself into the market and apply yourself.
I think it ties back so seamlessly with our first episode is of knowing thyself and knowing what you want. And as long as you have a good understanding of where you at and where you want to be, and have a clear direction of, okay, how can I constantly, every single day, even if it's a single effort that I'm making towards that final goal, how can I do that? Who are the people who can help me do that? And surround yourself with people like that. And I think that's what's helped you the most as well in that.
Absolutely, right? I mean, your career path can be slightly blurred, right? Because you could land yourself a role. Where do I go from here? But it's about you then understanding where you can actually go from there.
Yep.
Okay, and then think, I want to do that. Or aim to achieve that. Because the hardest thing is oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, we hear it all the time, right? In the whole world, whatever it may be, not just job searching and your career, it's everything, right? Be confident, right? This is what I want to do. I want to trade, right? And I think that really helps you along, right? That helps you, first of all, learn or learn what you need to do to get to a certain stage. And then even when you're in that role, what do I now need to do to get one step up, 2 steps up, wherever I need to be? Because when I went into Eden Financial, I become a partner of a company.
Oh, wow.
It's your contribution that's what you receive from contributing, right? The hard work you put in, the engagement, you bringing in clients, obviously a broker is the revenue you bring in, and then the reward for that and a thank you, you become a partner of the company. And you know, you've got to. It's always incredibly helpful to speak to people who know, right? Because the majority of people do not. I say that right. Right. Speak to people who can help. You'll know who they are, and they'll know, and you'll know who to have these conversations with and who not to. I think, right? Because there's people, you know, inherently who don't want to help, just, you know, all out for themselves. And then the conversations you can have that give you insight. That's the value. Who can give you insight? Who can talk you through something? Who can you become a friend with? Right? We can be friends at work. You don't have to all just be super professional. You know, a friendship goes a long way, and I still speak to people now who I knew in my first role at HSBC. I had a conversation with him a few days back. I mean, it wasn't for the most fabulous of reasons, unfortunately, as we're getting older, but I gave him a call to see how he is. And that's 6 years ago.
Wow.
And you pick up the phone and you're still friends. Like no time has passed whatsoever. And I find that real value.
It's
Friendship.
also like networking within the role, as not even networking to get the job, networking while you're in the job to then grow into other opportunities.
Absolutely.
And then collect friends along the way.
You never know where they're going to be when you need help, right? Or where you can give help. That's really important, right? You know, you can always help someone.
Yep.
If you can, I think that's the most valuable thing that I can ever offer to someone is help someone. You know, push someone into a role, right? What do you want to do? Do you want to do this? What do you want to talk to me? Where do you want to go? Okay. What do you need to do to achieve that? So there was a couple of guys who I worked with in Switzerland who were, you know, they were grads, but they were exceptionally smart boys. Both done CFA. One's an analyst, one's a portfolio manager, doing evidently very well, right? You've got to help someone, you know, even if it's just a conversation. I mean, if I could ever really be in a position to employ tons of people who I've ever known and I know that they're able to do something, then I absolutely would. Why wouldn't I? Why would I not?
100%. I love that you say that, because it's from such an industry professional like yourself to recommend networking to people, to recommend people to communicate with other people. It's so important, because right now job seekers, I feel that they think, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to network. I don't think it works. I'll just apply. I'll wait. Nothing seems to be happening when people just apply and wait. But your story is testament to the fact that, hey, I'm speaking to people, not only getting into the role, but while I'm in the role, to then, if the opportunity arises later down the line, to be in a better position and then grow within that. Because your journey sounds amazing. I mean, it's just from one point to the next, to the next, to the next.
It's had some lows, right? It's not always been super positive, but I break out that.
But there have been like so many market headwinds, like the 2000, like 9/11, as you said, then the 2008 market crash. I mean, there were tough periods, and even them being tough periods, and the way you glided through them is, usually.
It's not always easy.
Yep.
Okay, you know, when you do have something's negative and it's impacting your life or your role or your job, you do just have to absorb it in a way, right? You have to break out and just say, okay, where am I? Where do I need to go?
And how you can make the best out of that situation. Okay.
Absolutely. There's always opportunities, right? So, you know, one door closes, one opens. And I'm always a believer, right? And I said this to V previously, that every day that passes, if you're not at work, just say you're out of work, is one day closer to getting a job. Not one day longer I haven't been at work, because that will just be the negative. One day closer.
The perspective shift.
The perspective, right? Half full, half empty. It's the same. You've got to think, okay, believe in yourself, put yourself out there. What do I need to do? I think networking is very valuable, if not, you know, as valuable as your academic achievements. You've got to be able to communicate, right? I mean, depending on role, right? it depends, but communication is super key to everything. To be able to articulate your goal, to able to articulate who you are to people, to be warmth, to bring someone into a conversation. All these are, you can't learn them. They are skills that come with having conversations.
And constantly practicing them and going with those, like asking someone out on a coffee on work is like, do you want to, and those 15 minutes, you don't know what value you can get out of them. I think that's how me and Darren met. Like we were on the floor. Wow. Yeah, we were on the floor and we both are into watches. And I saw this crazy watch and I was like, excuse me, sir, that's a really nice watch. I was like, oh, thank you so much. And then he came up to, we started talking, and I think that was about a year ago. Oh, wow. And since then we've been, yeah.
So as simple as that.
Common ground. And that's it. Well, why not? Why not build relationships at any time, in your life? It doesn't matter who it's with. I think these are the true value in, getting into the market and then beyond. Because if you're coming out of university, you still would discuss things with your peer group.
Yep.
What are they doing? I did, right? I mean, if you're in a university class, I presume you know what everyone's kind of doing and how they're applying and so forth. So that's the first tier, right, of, networking. That's your peer group from day one. How that escalates, they could all go weave into all different sorts of roles that could really assist you in the future.
I think
amazing things can happen from relationships, I think.
Yeah, I think the key takeaway from here is so many people focus on getting into a job and then thinking, my job is done. But I think the real game changer is also how you can network your way to a higher position whilst you're in a job or for something higher that you're looking for. Because getting a job, I know, as hard as it may sound, it's not impossible, and it happens to everyone. Because you need to have that mountain to climb afterwards as well, once you've got that.
100%. There's always a bigger mountain.
Exactly.
And I think networking is so overlooked by people today. Even 5 years ago, there might be people right now looking for jobs who've traditionally applied before, who just think traditionally is the only way to get a job. And then they start networking and they start realizing, oh, there is a better way. Or even graduates today who have no networking skills or zero communication skills. I would say the best thing to do is just to start. Just do it. Just reach out to 5 people today. See where it could lead you. If
Absolutely.
you have that ability of like starting a conversation, but you don't know what conversation could go, just go with it. See where it can go. That could be a pretty good place to begin.
I agree. You don't have to be on your own with anything, right? The community's out there everywhere, right? You can speak to someone about something who's experiencing the same thing. What are you doing? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? You can take something, if you listen. Do active listening is really important as well. Everyone can talk, right? But do you actually listen to anyone? Right? I think that's something as well that is a skill that you have to learn. You have to listen to someone when they're talking, and you can take a lot.
Because that's all the ammunition that they're giving you for you to use later on.
Everybody likes talking about themselves.
100%.
Use that to your advantage. Ask the difficult questions, right? And you'll be very surprised at the answers that may be given.
I could not agree on that more. I had a friend, Matthew, he actually works at LSEG as well. And so he, just to network, he did his finance degree from Greenwich University. And he knew a pub where every banker and every finance person would go after their job. He specifically got a job at that pub. And he was like, my card stack was this thick by the end I finished.
Wow. Just
because the sole reason he got a job there was because he wanted to network with these people, and he got MDs at investment banks and VPs, and he started having conversations with them. And now he goes to third space. Because
you told me about this guy.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Third Space is like one of the most expensive gym membership you can get in London. Third Space, do not sponsor us, by the way, if you want to.
If you want to, yeah,
we're
ears.
open. But it's because it's so expensive. Only very few limited people go there, and he tells me like he can barely afford it, but he goes there just because of the connections he make. And he met partner of a law firm. He met a MD of NatWest there, and because he's currently pursuing his CFA, he already has interviews lined up once he has done that, so that he can get into an IB role.
Wow.
So that's it. So the networking, getting cards, that's stage one. But then reaching out to those people who have sort of given you that little window, that's really important. And not everyone's going to be welcoming, right? You don't really know how someone's going to react. But, you know, you reach out to 20 people, I hope that one person's going to reply and say, yeah, come and meet me for coffee. Come on, I'll take you out to lunch or something like that. You just never know, but you've got to put yourself in that space.
Position yourself.
And even if it's uncomfortable, just do it. Right? You've got to do it. You've got to put yourself in these positions, right? Because you can make something of...
Out of thin air.
Yeah, thin air, just a couple of lines. Oh, I did CFA. I mean, you don't even have to talk about roles or jobs. You can just be really open about anything, and you never know what conversations can come of that.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Pretty much.
And also, you don't have to be super corporate with the messages. You don't have to say, hi, name, today's a great day. What's the weather like? You can actually be very direct and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing the CFA. What are your thoughts about this career path? Do I need this particular route to get that job? What did you do? People love to talk about themselves, like you say. So then that can turn into another conversation.
Absolutely. I think there's opportunities everywhere. You've got to just be active listener with your eyes wide open, just understanding that what can happen here if you're just talking or be in an environment of someone who can may possibly give you a steer, right? Really important. And again, coming back to why I'm sitting here with you guys is that you're not on your own, right? If you need help, advice or anything, how to job, ask the questions. You don't need to feel like I'm getting nowhere just applying for a role after role. That is the most demoralising thing that can happen to someone. And you get really down, after a period of time if you need to get into a role or certainly want to achieve great things. But any help, whether, it's someone you meet or have a conversation with, or whether it's a professionals like you guys, it's really important, right? Reach out. Have that conversation, because the benefits really outstrip just sitting there quiet to yourself thinking nothing can work.
So, guys, Darren could not have said it better. If you are looking for help in your job search, or you're just in that rut of constantly getting rejected and don't know how to move forward with your job search, and because some different people have different situations, I would highly recommend check out the link in below. Check out our website. Book a call with Milo. It's completely free. Milo gives free advice, assesses your situation, and the best way you can tackle it. Right.
Link below. Book a call. I'll give you very quick advice in terms of what I would do if I was in your position. And I just want to kind of finish on the point of what you've said, which is just do it, which is what our guests usually say. You just have to.
That is like the theme of our... Just do it.
Just do it.
It's like, forget all the fears. You have to be active, right? Now, if you're just sitting there and passive, things can just go past you. You've got to be active and embrace something you may have not done before, because it's all new. For the first time people out there, coming out of university and just wanted to get into whatever role. Okay, how do you do that? You can ask someone who knows how to job, or you can use your network and people but inherently you don't have to be on your own thinking, what do I need to achieve, or what do I need to do to achieve what I want to achieve, what goal, getting my first role. Okay, that's what you need to do, right? How do I get to here? And there are people, very able to help you, right? On LinkedIn, if someone messaged me on LinkedIn, now if you've got LinkedIn Premium, I think it is, you can reach out and you have an opportunity to respond. I'd respond if someone just asked me a few questions. Absolutely. Why would I not? Bestow your experience onto people. There's people out there who will be able to help you. Not everybody, but you'll know who they are.
I think that's a great way to wrap it up.
100%.
Your network is your net worth. And the more uncomfortable you are, the more closer you're getting to your desired position. I think,
With that, let's wrap it up.
See you guys next week. Thank you
Like
so
and
much.
subscribe.
And thank you so much, Darren, for your
You're
time.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.